Hello, let us welcome back. Actually, we need to solve these common database problems. From the last video, which we covered the steps followed in development of database, whereby we said our step 1 was database requirement, collection, and visualization. So we are going to tackle these steps one by one, and then we come up with a real world problem whereby we follow the steps and then come up with a database. So in this video we are beginning with the correcting and analyzing database requirements. This is the first step in every development of the database system. So the requirements are collected and then analyzed. So these requirements are extracted or gotten from functional and non-functional requirements. We have other categories like data requirements, stakeholders, system architecture and design. So our real world problem or our real world application, this is under the task. We are going to come out with a task which we are going to follow these steps and then implement. So we are going to come up with a real world scenario, then we state objectives, extract the entities and attributes, then we have the application queries, which we are going to use SQL to implement. So our real world problem was employee benefits tracking database. So this is the title of our problem. So in the first step, we need to have objective, which is the main objective, and the other secondary. We have the primary objective and the secondary. So in this case, I came up with three. Our problem here, we have this database, employee benefits tracking database. It's going to provide a platform of communicating benefit information to employees. The next objective is to administer employee benefits efficiently. The next objective is to ensure employees are enrolled in appropriate programs. So from these three, this was just an example. So in my case, I'm going to pick one as a primary. So in this case, I was to provide a platform for communicating benefit information to employees. Probably this is the primary objective. Then you list the others as secondary. So before we implement this database, we need to extract the entities and the attributes. Now, this is where the database requirements come in. So we have the database requirement, we have the correction. Correction here, it means you use methods of correction, like maybe you do observation, maybe you do interviews, and then you analyze what you get. So this database, these entities and attributes can be extracted from these requirements. For example, functional and non-functional requirement, how the system or how the database works. Non-functional requirement, properties like scalability. Data requirements, for example, in our case here, now we have like benefits, what the employees will get. We have the providers. For example, the benefit providers like pension. Also, we can extract the entities or the attributes from the stakeholders like IT specialists. For example, in an organization you can have the IT department, you can have finance. So that is just one entity. The next, we can have system architecture and design. So remaining to the objective of this discussion, the entities we extracted from this example or this task, we have number one, employee. The next one is employer. We have finance. We have IT department, benefits, administrators, and providers. If you note in the last one, I combined this intentionally. So remember, when we list entities, we have a one inseparable property. What I mean here is like we have benefit administrator, and the next we have benefit providers. So they are different entities. So for demonstration purpose, we can have these 5, but still later we can revise the document and add or remove depending on the timeline or our schedule or the requirement of this task and the availability of the tools. So after we have gotten the entities, we are going to extract or to give attributes. Remember, every entity has this attribute. It is like we say a parent and a child. So from this, employee as a name, we have an ID that identifies an employee in an organization. Then we have a contact, etc. So still we can add more later. The next, we have employer. Also we can have a name, employee ID, then contact. The next, we have benefits. For example, we can have benefit type. Like for example, in retirement plan, we have retirement, and in health sector, we have something like insurance cover. So those are benefits. So we will have an attribute like type, which will identify these categories. The next, we have the benefit provider. We can also have name, contact, service, contract, IDs, and so forth. So we have compliance. We can have something like documentation and report format. So the next, we come up with application queries. This can help us when you have implemented the database using a DBMS, so add DBMS software. So these are some of the let's say some of the questions or some of the queries we can get from the database. For example, you can say how many employees are getting retirement benefits. Remember, these questions can be extracted from our requirement analysis which we collected. Now we can frame them as a question or as a query. So we can say how many employees are getting retirement benefit. How many employees are enrolled in XYZ insurance. Remember, we can have a table with insurance companies, so we can query the result to see how many employees are enrolled in a certain insurance. What is the average cost per employee for the health insurance? Which benefit service provider are the most cost effective? What is the distribution of the benefits per employee? Job title. Which benefits are employees most likely to recommend to their colleagues? Something like a recommendation. And how much does the companies contribute to employee retirement plans? As I said earlier, this is a sample, so we can add more in future as we move to implementation of a really working database. And bearing in mind, we are just for solving these common database problems, and we see a way which we can understand these processes in a simple manner. Thank you.